boys, man. Mike, Evan. Then we got our buddy Nicky from NickyMGTV with us today. Hey, before we
So,
start, we're going to go ahead and check out our t-shirt line at Teespring. That get you a couple hoodies, couple shirts. Represent us, man. Help us out. Low prices and everything, man. So, Nicky, how you doing, man?
good, man. We're out here in Japan, late your time, kind of midday my time. So I guess it kind of works out. So you guys always film late. So we're out here.
Yeah, I see that the sunlight coming through your window there, man. I'm kind of jealous right now.
It's okay. Trust me. It's good until you try and coordinate with people that don't film at night. And they're like, I'm only up between the hours of like 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. And I'm like, that's my entire nighttime. Thank you. So.
Yeah, man. So first, I want to thank you for coming on board our channel. It's really cool, especially being another military guy, Navy guy at that, having his own YouTube channel, and know you got other things to do with your time. So I really appreciate you coming on board with us.
Yeah, man.
Dude, we all started somewhere, and I tell people, like, I only got lucky I got a chance from somebody, so I tell them all the time, like, I'm down to help out small guys, small creators, and I always say you're only a few months to years, you could be past me. That's why I don't ever treat anyone less or more, and I'm glad you guys invited me, that you guys considered it.
That's cool, man. Yeah, that's cool. That's real cool. So, we were looking on Navy Times about a couple of articles. Mike had found this article about the USS Georgia. Mike, why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, so no, I didn't really deep dive too much into the article, man, but just the headline itself caught me, and it just kind of made me think. So the headline was the USS Georgia surfaced in front of an Iranian ship that was sending out test missiles, which I guess were live missiles. To me, that's one, being in Iranian waters, that's not something that a being is normally known for. And then for a fast attack, that's more common. So must have been some really serious stuff going down if you got a being going in those type of waters. But how would y'all, for Evan, you've been in a situation like that, you was on the being, how would you feel if it wasn't an accident, if it was something like, hey, we here type deal? Just how would you feel about being in a situation like that, man?
And it's kind of unheard of having a being in those type of waters. Normally, well, for me personally, we were outside Hawaii, Alaska, Guam area, right? We would never go very close to waters that could be considered hostile, So for a being being there, that's kind of curious for sure. Like you said, it's usually a fast attack, maybe even a GN that'd be over there, leaking around the water, looking at stuff. But we've had tensions with Iran for a while. Maybe they're just taking precautions. I really don't know. I've been out of the loop for a long time, so it is it's definitely a curious thing to happen.
Let's be real here. There's only very few reasons a submarine surfaces. I think that's what makes it more curious to us. Is this? That's why I think most of us think this is going to be a power flex than it is like an actual reason that was even emergency at that point. I guess because I'm a corpsman here, and I mean the history of submarine community is you stay under the water. You're not meant to be found. And so even for life-saving measures like an appendicitis, which is like you need surgery to get rid of, you're not surfacing unless you absolutely have to. There's other ways you're going to control this until it gets better and the mission comes first. So, I mean, did you guys ever find yourselves in power struggles like this while you were doing your subservice at all, or what?
Dude, never. Like when I was I was from 07 to 14, and I mean we've done war games with the surface fleets and stuff like that, but nothing serious with like other countries, especially one that's aggressive towards the U.S. like Iran.
Yeah.
It could be exactly what you said. Maybe it's a big old flex from the U.S. Like, hey, watch where your fucking missiles are going.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm thinking it's coming from. Is we're going to surface, we're going to show a show of force, just so they can remember that we can also hurt them.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's the BNs, man. We got the ballistic missiles. We can fuck up a whole country, with those type of torpedoes, man. So, and then too, man, like you said, we've come to coast calls before. I've had one particular where can't say too much, but we was in area water that we was patrolling, and then we heard a torpedo in the water. Torpedoes in the water. And it wasn't a battle station's drill. This shit was real. So when it hit, it's crazy all the drills and all the times you prepare for that situation to happen. You see people jumping on it so quick, but it was like in that moment, shit was real, So I mean, was it aiming for us? Was it not aiming for us? All we know was sonar picked up torpedo in the water, and we had to turn two,
You know what I find funny about this? Because people joke on us being the Navy, and I'm a corpsman. I'm with the Marines, so like it's a totally different experience. Same fear, different experience that people have. Like when you're a sub, you can't look out a window and be like, yeah, there's a torpedo coming, or there's a bad guy over there shooting at us. It's not the same thing, right? Where I get that it's more dangerous to feel like, oh, the ground combat is worse, but also like that still fear and anxiety happens because you're just relying on systems in your sub to tell you what's going on around you. And obviously people are trained, but it's still like you're a grind or a gear in the cog, if you will, to make sure that you survive that as much as possible. So that's what I want to annotate for a lot of guys that maybe watch this that might be the ground pounders. And I'm like, dude, it's a different fear, but it's still a real one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I never actually experienced a true torpedo in the water, but we did have drills where they would unexpectedly, do the drills, and I'm over here driving the sub, and you have the officer of deck just scream torpedo in the water, and your asshole just puckers up like, like a penny. So it's crazy, man.
So you
from your training, you guys have watched movies, obviously, of instances like this where there's like things that are going on. Is there any sub movie that you think does it the best, that actually shows justice to what goes on a ship, or maybe is too accurate?
Down Periscope.
Man.
What do you think, Mr. Dodge?
I think I'm gonna get my ass kicked, sir.
I don't think like that. Damn it to hell, don't go by the book. Think like a pirate. I want a man with a tattoo on his dick. Have I got the right man?
By a strange coincidence, you do, sir.
Down Periscope. Okay. It's probably from the 80s or 90s. I'm not sure.
I think late 80s.
I'm looking at
96. Okay.
96. Yeah. It's actually a comedy, but they actually put the best stuff in there. Like it's very satirical, but they actually have a lot of good stuff that actually goes on in submarines. Like I know this newest submarine movie with Gerard Butler. That was like, I didn't even watch the movie. Like I saw a bunch of trailers, like a whole bunch of fucking machine guns coming off the top of the submarine and stuff like that. And it was just like, no, we're not that cool.
Yeah.
Not at all.
I mean, I would say I think submarines are something that people think is cool in nature, but in the reality of it, like putting yourself in that instance, or like, this is not what I was expecting, right? How many times did you guys see people that were like that? They show up all bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and then it just declines quickly. Do you guys notice that often?
I think we all went through that, man. My first deployment, I was exactly how you said, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed. I was like, I'm gonna go save the world, all this kinds of bullshit, and then after your first deployment, you're like, this is not as cool as I thought it would be. It's not bad, but it's not great either. Mike, I think you're probably the same way, right?
Same exact way, man. Before I left to go to boot camp and all that stuff, I watched the Crimson Tide, the Hunt for Red October, and I was like, man, I'm about to be in the shit, man. Like I'm about to be in it. Then when you actually get into it, it's like, it's not it's not all cracked up to what it's supposed to be. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's intense in certain situations, but it's not what the movies make it out to be, man.
So here's my question. How did you guys both get suckered to be on subs? How do they sell this to you guys is my question.
Want to take this, Evan?
Yeah, so, well, first off, you got to consider age. I was 17 when I joined, right? So you're still pretty ignorant of how the world is and all that stuff, and how people really want to sell you into something, right? Well, recruiters are, you know, they're salespeople, right? When it comes down to it, they want to get you into something. So, yeah, man. So at first I went to the Marines, obviously the same old story. They weren't there. So I went to the Army or the Navy, and the Navy guys, you know, they're like, what do you want to do? What do you like? All this, you know, throwing questions at me and stuff, you know, and they kind of like threw the submarine question at me, just like on the slide. I'm like, oh yeah, what submarines do? Like, well, what do you like? And I was like, I don't know, you know, like all kinds of secretive shit. That's why I kind of think of submarines. And of course they took off like, oh, you'll be just like James Bond, 007. You get all this extra kinds of money and stuff. And I'm like, oh, fuck yeah, dude, that's what I want to do, you know? And then like, sign the dotted line. So I did. And you do get a little bit extra money, but other than that, I mean, you get your secret clearance and stuff, or top secret, you know, whatever job you have, but it's not that great, man. Like, they sucker you into it.
So you guys go through basic YN school, right? And then you guys go to BEST, and then is there anything else that you guys do?
That's it.
Not really. No.
So
BEST ain't really the best thing. Like, BEST kind of gives you a preview of what the submarine life was going to be. So they kind of give you like like 5 or 6 systems that you will learn while you go to the community, and then teach you a couple valves and stuff like that, tell you how submarine life, submarine history, then they shoot you off, right? And then once you actually get to the ship, and then they hand you a qual card about that thick, and they tell you, you got this deadline to get this one done. You got this deadline to get this done. You got this deadline to get this done. And you're sitting there like, what the hell did I get myself into, right? But
and no one holds your hand, man. That's one good thing I did like about submarines after I qualified. Obviously, when I was qualifying, I thought it was a piece of shit, but like, you know, after you qualify, you understand why they make it so hard on you and stuff like that. But yeah, you get a thick ass qual card. They say get qualified and up, and no one holds your hand. So like, you really have to figure out what you're doing.
Do you ever find that made you self-driven or motivated after the military? Like, if I did all that by myself, I can do this by myself. Like, no one's going to hold my hand for this.
Absolutely, dude. Like, you really have to. I mean, that's a lot of people drop out of submarines too. You know, like, you have to find your way. Like, you're really just thrown to the fire. Like, hey, listen, this is what you have to do. Go do it, or you're not going to be part of this. You know, and you know, I'm sure you can attest to that in your own field. You know, people just, you know, but yeah,
I'll tell you this, my first month as an independent duty corpsman, I got thrown into our biggest field op. I didn't know any of the chain of command. I didn't know who I was going with. I didn't know what the mission was. They were like, you're just the independent duty corpsman for this. Like, don't worry about it. You're trained enough. And I was like, okay, like, I don't know anything that I'm doing. And sure enough, thrown to the fire was probably an understatement for that op. But I mean, I learned a lot. I mean, I think you learn quickly throughout your time in service, like not to take shit from anybody very quickly, or you're like, I'm not falling for that. Nope. And you don't trust anybody. It's almost like a good double-edged sword. Like, you get thicker skin, you don't trust anybody, but you're going to verify like a million times to make sure it's actually what's being passed or what's being said. And I think that's just military service in general. Like, if you don't leave this without a little bit of extra tough skin, you're probably in the wrong business, or you probably just sat somewhere in berthing and did nothing else.
Right.
Oh, did you choose to be an IDC, or was it like a billet that came up, or how did that transpire?
So pretty much what happened was I was a farm. All right. So you guys got suckered into sub yeoman. I went to Hospital Corpsman A school, and they said, everyone stand up that day. Every male. I said, okay, raise your hand. All right. You guys are going to Iraq or Afghanistan. Mind you, this is 2008. Every instructor just came from at least 1 pump or 2 pumps from country. So they were like given the reality. That's what everybody deployed. I was like one of the people that didn't deploy out of my first command. So anyway, they were like, hey, these are your orders. I got Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, which is a crap hole if you've never been to North Carolina before. I got offered Guam, Hawaii, or not Hawaii, Okinawa or Quantico, Virginia. And I was like, I'm from Maryland. I don't want to, and I lived in North Carolina when I depped in. So I was like, I don't want to go anywhere near Virginia, North Carolina, and I don't want Guam or Okinawa. So they offered C schools. Now, as a corpsman, you get to choose a C school, but you're stuck in that field. Now, I chose pharmacy tech because they offered me orthopedic tech, which is like wrapping cast up. There's no jobs in that, like leaving. There really isn't. Then there's surgical tech, which I wore glasses at the time, and wearing a mask and glasses, they fog up all the time.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to do that. I hate that. And then lastly was pharmacy tech. And I was like, all right, well, I mean, pass out pills. It like you learn all this medicine from all these other places. Like, and I didn't know that you were stuck doing that job like the entire time. I thought it was just like, oh, you get more training. I didn't know that. And so I sign up, and they're like, yeah, you're only doing pharmacy. That's it. And I was like, oh, that's not what I wanted. And they were like, well, you're here. I almost purposely failed out because I was like, this is not for me. So I did it. And then I went to my first command, made E4 out of there. Kind of, I'm one of those dudes that's kind of like painfully average. That's what I say, where you're like, I'm a B plus. I've never been like the best sailor EP. I think people think I'm Joe Navy, but really like I'm such an average Joe, if that makes sense. But anyway, after my second tour, I was in Rota, Spain, obviously great tour. I was like, I need to do something. I need to figure something out to like make E6. I'm not going to make it doing this job. And because of the way the politics worked out. So I was like, I'll do IDC. That gives me E6. And so my first Master Chief that was with me, she was like, oh, you want to be independent? All right, you should do subs. I was like, nope, I'm good. Nope, not doing it. And she's like, why not? I said, I got suckered into this, being a farm tech where I'm stuck here. I'm not going to be stuck doing subs. She's like, well, you can do other stuff too. I was like, Master Chief, I've learned my lesson. I'm doing surface because surface IDCs, you can go with SEAL teams, CBs, Marines. You can go on every kind of surface ship. I was like, dude, that's plenty. I have diversity. And I was like, if anything, I can go sub afterwards. She's like, yeah, you're right. And I was like, but she was kind of wanting me to like dive right in. And I was like, I'm kind of taking a half step. We'll see what happens. So you get advised to, like, no one's trying to make you go surface or IDC in general, but it's on the career path. Like 60% of the people that made Master Chief this year were IDCs. 46 or 48% were IDC that made Senior Chief. And then I would like to say like 40% made Chief this year. So to give you a statistical analysis of that number, there are 26,000 corpsmen in the whole Navy. 1,000 of those are IDCs. Out of those 1,000, 500 or 450 are E6s. So out of that 450 E6s, out of the whole Navy for corpsmen, most of those people are making Chief. So I was like, that's my path. I got to go. Look at the numbers. So that was where I went. And that's kind of how I went this way.
You got to pick your path, man. That's smart. Yeah. Yeah. If there was another career path that you had to take in the Navy, like rate wise, what would you do?
IT, 100%.
IT.
Diversity of billets, credentials that you get when you leave. The job style and workload is not that crazy, and your quality of life is pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, it meets all of my wickets of what I would want to do. If you're talking about like fun, just like if I want to just enjoy my time, obviously an MC, but that's just me wanting to fulfill my dream of working with cameras and doing that stuff. But I do that anyway now without them. So
I mean, IT work is definitely where it's at. And civilian sector, when you get out, it's can't go wrong with that right now. So that would be a pretty good choice.
I don't want to disclose what you guys do too much, but what do you guys do now? Like, now that you're out?
I'm a bourbon man. I make bourbon. I work at a distillery, in Kentucky. I put moonshine in barrels, and then I take it out of barrels, and then put it in bottles. And then
what up, Mike? What do you do?
People buy it.
They buy it and they drink it.
Yeah, and I work for the state of Kansas, man, as a caseworker. So I'm pretty much a yeoman for the state of Kansas right now, man.
But listen, like, if anyone watches this that's coming from the perspective that they haven't served before or they're going to serve, and I'm like, you get to the, like, everyone's looking for something they're going to get tangibly when they leave, right? And I would say you get more intangible things when you leave than you think. There's more benefits than just that. I'm not saying it to be Joe Navy. I'm saying that to be like, you guys are friends right now making a podcast together. Like, you would have never met if it wasn't for the Navy, or, you know, whatever it is. So it's like those things, like, I don't even think about the physical, tangible things as much as I do as like the experience and the people. And so that's why, I don't know, that's just my thought. But what made you guys even join? I think that's a good question, because you were 17. Or Mike, how old were you when you joined?
So I was 19 when I went to boot camp.
I signed at 17. My parents signed the papers for me. My mom said, "Don't tell anyone I did that." And I was like, "Why? Like, I'm joining the military. That's like one of those prideful things you could do." But yeah, now look at her. So yeah, but for me, I joined because my parents kicked me out of the house. Like, I was 17. They were looking at a way to get me out. They were like, "You can't live here your whole life." And I was like, "I'm the last of 4 kids. I caused the least amount of trouble." But they were like, they wanted an empty nest quick. So it was, Barnes and Nobles wasn't paying the bills. Go figure.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I joined when I was 17. I just you know, ever since 9/11 was this probably the pinnacle for when I wanted to join. So, you know, 6 years later, I joined the military. I either wanted to be, I was really kind of focused on being like a Marine or some badass in the Army or some shit, but the Navy ended up getting me. So
yeah. And look at you. I mean, when I look at the sub fleet in general, it's definitely filled with people of a specific type of person. Like, you cannot survive a sub without being a certain kind of person. And my buddy Tommy is a prior sub guy that he got medically taken off for something with his leg that happened. They're like, it was like a compartment syndrome or something. They're like, too much risk, too much chance. And you know how that is medically. If you've had any issue, they're like, bam, you're off. And so he became a corpsman afterwards. But it gets pretty crazy to see that. So now, most sub guys get known for the Dungeons and Dragons and the Magic the Gathering shit that goes on. Like, did you guys pick up any of that while you guys were on the sub? I mean,
hell yeah, man. I'm all about some D&D.
Unfortunately, no, with me, man, I was trying to, during the times of me being out to sea, man, I picked up working out and then trying to be a damn music producer, because been in the ship's office, I had my laptop with me, and during the times I had downtime, sitting there making beats, working on music and stuff like that. And then I actually linked up with a cook, CS1 Brunty, shout out to him, man. But we used to do like little skits and videos and stuff like that. So that was a lot of stuff that we used to do always out to sea. Try to make entertainment, try to make people laugh, man. Because when you out to sea, you know, we've talked about this before on one of our previous videos, where you got to have like a routine. You got to have something that takes your mind off of being out to sea. So, if you can, like we said, like I said, bring laughter or bring something to everybody to where you ain't got to worry about you stuck on this tin can for so long, and just get out your norm, man. So that's like, I didn't get into the gaming like Evan did though, but man, I ventured out in other avenues.
It stuck with me, man. Yeah, it's like Mike said, you definitely need a routine on the submarine, or else your mind will just betray you, honestly. Like, you definitely need a routine. So I got into working out, I got into gaming, I did get into D&D. I haven't really played it too much lately, but hey, anything that gets your mind right, you know what I'm saying?
No, that's good, man. You gotta have, and so I find it interesting because I was locked up in a barracks room during restriction of movement for us, and I was like, okay, I have nothing to do but sit in this room. I have to eat, I have to shower every day, even though I'm not gonna see anybody. I have to do so. Like, I made a list of things I had to do, and it was like the most productive time I've had on my channel because I was waiting for my COVID test to come back, which took like couple days. I was like, all right, I have to figure this out. Like, I have to keep up with it. And I find it interesting because I talk to people that work at boot camp right now that are cut, like every kid's required to do 2 weeks while they're there. And they were like, there are kids that are literally going crazy in here. Like they probably shouldn't be in the military anyway, but I mean, at least the first 2 weeks of isolation is a good deterrence to continue trying to join, because, you know, even if you're on a surface ship, doesn't matter. And these kids can see sunlight. You know what I mean? Like they're not stuck on a sub. Yeah. So what's the longest time you guys have been on the boat, you know, below the water?
My longest time, it's broken up. It's been broken up, but my first deployment was 180 days. Mm-hmm. Out of those 180 days, I saw maybe 14 days of land.
Did you guys ever do those Antarctica trips? Because those always look fun to me.
No, never have. I'm not a blue nose nor a turtleback. I think, Mike, you might be a turtleback, right?
No, actually, I'm not, man. The closest I've been up north was
shellback. I think it's what it's called.
Shellback. Yeah,
shellback.
The closest I've done, we did sound trials in Alaska, and that was pretty cool. That was actually a pretty cool experience. Cold as hell, though. Trust me, man. The waters get cold as shit. Like,
so that's a good question. I've never asked this. How much does a water temperature affect how you feel in the sub? Like
it does. Yes,
it changes.
Yeah, you can definitely feel it. It will get fucking cold under there.
Yeah.
I have gotten close on my sub. I have gotten close to Alaska. Not like on the coast, but like kind of the northern waters. And even then, you can definitely feel the temperature change. You got to get an extra blanket and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So when you guys get a chance, you guys aren't sonar guys, but what I don't know if you guys have seen it, but there is a video from a guy that does like science stuff. And he talks about sonar, and he literally sits down with the chief. I've got it right here. He's got a channel called Smarter Every Day. I'd love you guys to watch this, because literally it's him, the chief, this most senior person to talk about sonar. I think it's the most senior SCG maybe, or I'm not sure what exactly he does. I forget. And it's this guy that's kind of like a sciencey guy, and the EXO sits right next to him the entire interview. And so the whole video or the whole interview is him saying like, so in theory, sonar works like this. How do you like, and kind of like pokes, right?
Yeah.
And the EXO is just like, that's not a good question. You know what I mean? Like, next one. You know, and when I watch it, just like, whoa, I can't believe the Navy. And they took all of the information out of it. Like they took his SD card and put it back. But, you know, looking back, do you look at how much information you guys had access to? You're like, whoa, this is crazy. Like I'm only 18, 19. I'm like working on a sub. I'm like working on all those big crazy torpedoes and like around these people that know all this information. Like,
yeah,
it's kind of insane.
One of the best sayings I heard was, he said, "Hey, Gibbous," or I was like, "Yo, what's up, Chief?" He's like, "Did you realize that you're 18 years old driving a $6 billion piece of equipment, but you still can't drink a beer?" I'm like, "Yes, Chief." Like that's serious as shit, too. Like billions of dollars, you know. And I'm 18 years old driving it, but I can't have a beer. You know, I mean that's a different story. But
yeah, we'll get to the legal side later. But I mean, yeah, not to say you didn't. So where were you guys stationed at? Because I didn't know this. So where were you guys stationed at?
So I was in Hawaii, and then I transferred to South Carolina.
I was in Washington State, and then I went to South Carolina. After that's where we met.
Okay. Dang.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Really hard duty station Hawaii. Sorry. You know.
Oh man, I'll tell you, man. I cried every single day when I was driving to the beach to relax a little bit, man. It was rough.
Well, he's up there in Bangor sitting there crying his eyes out because it's sad all the way through freaking what is it, probably October to
yeah. Nothing but rain, man. Yeah.
That's why I can't do Washington. I immediately was like, no Washington State. I'm good.
I'll be honest, man. It was actually kind of nice. I mean, besides the weather, which I didn't hate. Actually, most of the time I kind of enjoyed it, but the Washington had its perks, man. You know, in that time, anyways, when I was there, you know, really, really nice people and stuff, and then the city was great too. But I haven't been there in, gosh, probably 8 years, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've been in my first tour was San Diego, 4 years. Then I went to Rota for 3 years, went back to San Diego for my training for a year, and then I came to Japan. So I've had very good duty stations overall. So I've been very lucky. I'm trying to keep this on a roll. Hopefully get some pretty obscure places if I can here in the future. Like we have a spot in Poland. We've got Kodiak, Alaska. We've got a bunch of random spots that are pretty different. So I'm looking to see what I can get into next. I've got about 4 months and I pick orders again, and then we'll see where we go. Nerve wracking.
Are you gonna be a lifer or?
Dude, I've already accepted it. I'm at 12 now, so I hit 12 in November, so we got another 7.5-ish years. Yeah, might as well kick it off, and I'm trying to commission too, but if not, then I'll just keep going on and do my time and get out. Like I don't think I'm gonna try and extend past 20, but we'll see what happens then. I think there's going to be other offers on the table that will likely be a little bit better than staying in, and I think I'll eventually want to settle down somewhere. So I don't think Kentucky's on the billet there.
You get some nice bourbon at least, but
I know, right?
Mike, you have anything else for us here? Nicky, you got anything else for us?
Yeah, I just want to say, Nicky, man, appreciate you being with us, man. Helping out a young channel like us, and you already established and everything like that. And I want to say, while you still in, man, hey, salute to you. Hope you make that 20, 22. If you want to extend past that, man. But hey,
nope,
hope your career flourish, man. And thank you for everything, dog.
Appreciate it, Mike.
Man.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah,
good to come on here and see you guys.
We definitely appreciate you coming on and supporting us on our young channel, just like Mike said. Anyways, guys, USSC stories. Thanks for watching us, and Nicky, thanks for being on with us.
Up ahead now, the devil's gonna